The World Health Organization on Wednesday declared the ongoing Mpox outbreak in Africa a global health emergency. WHO convened its emergency committee amid concerns that a deadlier strain of the virus, Calde-LB, had reached four previously unaffected countries in Africa. This strain had previously been contained to the Democratic Republic of Congo. The independent experts met virtually Wednesday to advise WHO director on the severity of the outbreak. After that consultation, he announced that he had declared a public health emergency of international concern, the highest level of alarm under international health law. The detection and rapid spread of the new Mpox in eastern DRC, its detection in neighboring countries that had not previously reported Mpox, and the potential for further spread within Africa and beyond is very worrying. The emergency committee met and advised me that the situation constitutes a public health emergency of international concern. I have accepted that advice. The status given by WHO to extraordinary events that pose a public health risk to other countries through the international spread of disease, these outbreaks may require a coordinated international response. Quote, "It is unanimous that the current outbreak of Mpox, upsurge of Mpox, is an extraordinary event we have in Africa is the tip of the iceberg. We are not recognizing or we don't have the full picture of the burden of Mpox. The African Centers of Disease Control and Prevention declared an outbreak a public health emergency of continental security on Tuesday, the first such declaration by the agency since its inception in 2017. Since the beginning of this year, more than 17,000 Mpox cases and more than 500 deaths have been reported in 13 countries in Africa, according to the African Centers for Disease and Control, which classifies the outbreak as, quote, very high risk event. The highest number of cases, more than 14,000, is in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which reported 96% of confirmed cases this month. Mpox, formerly known as Monkeypox, is a viral disease that can spread easily between people from infected animals. It can spread through close contact, such as touching, kissing, or even intercourse, as well as through contaminated materials like sheets, clothing, and needles. Symptoms include a fever, a painful rash, headache, muscle and back pain, low energy, and enlarged lymph nodes. For decades, the disease has largely been found in Central and West Africa, but it has also began spreading in Europe and North America back in 2022. WHO previously declared the spread of Mpox a global health emergency in July of 2022 and ended that declaration in May of 2023. Mpox is characterized by two genetic clades, 1 and 2. A clade is a broad grouping of viruses that has evolved over decades and is a genetic and clinically distinct group. Clade 2 was responsible for the 2022 outbreak, but Clade 1B caused more severe disease. Quote, but we are not dealing with one outbreak of clade. We are dealing with several outbreaks of different clades in different countries with different modes of transportation and different levels of risks. No cases of Clade 1 Mpox has been identified in the United States. The United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention states, but it is monitoring the situation, and the United States government has offered funding, assistance, and vaccines to WHO and the DRC to support efforts in Africa. The CDC recommended last week that people in the United States who are exposed to or at high risk of catching Mpox should get vaccinated. WHO officials stated last week that the virus could be contained quite straightforwardly if we do the right things at the right time. They are further calling for international cooperation in financing and organization of efforts to quell the outbreak and funding research to better understand Clade 1B and its spread. Quote, it's clear that a coordinated international response is essential to stopping these outbreaks and save lives. The organization has signed off on an emergency use listing process for both Mpox vaccines and developed a regional response plan for requiring 15 million with 1.5 million released from the WHO contingency fund for emergencies. 500,000 doses of the vaccine are in stock, and another 2.4 million could possibly be produced by the end of the year. The DRC and Nigeria will be the first to receive these vaccines. The organization emphasized that vaccines are only part of the response. Containing the spread will also require increased surveillance, diagnostics, and research to fill the gaps in understanding. Quote, we can stop transmission of Mpox with a coordinated effort using multiple approaches. There are a lot of uncertainties. We have an opportunity right now to really leverage this time and support our member states to support the research that need to be done to understand this. I want people to realize that if you look back far enough and do your due diligence and research, that you'll find that roughly a lot of the elections that we have or just before, we happen to have some type of a thing that happens, right? And it seems like we're happening upon one of those things. And it's quite mysterious, right? And again, this is what they said before about something else, where it was like, hey, it's only in this one area. Pretty much you don't need to worry. It's a-okay. And then it slowly crept its way directly over, right? Because again, people travel, right? And they told you that Mpox is not in the United States at the moment in time, but at one point we did have it, right? We did have it back in 2022, and then they ended the search on it or whatever in 2023. So here we are again. So we did have it. So I guess maybe we might see a resurgence. They may tell people certain things in the public to go out there and do this and to do that. I'm pretty sure that the United States is not going to tell people like, hey, this is something that you should be worried or concerned about. I'm pretty sure that they're going to start this maybe towards after elections, pretty much after elections, after everything is solidified, depending on how things go, if it might go left, if it might go right, if it might go right, if it might go left, depending on what takes place, will be the main thing that will determine on what is going to take place here. And again, like I said before, I may be wrong. Like I said, I'm not Miss Cleo. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't just, sit on, the phone. Call me now for your free tarot card reading. I can't, I can't sit up there and give you that. But what I do know is that it's highly suspicious. And when things like this happen, they tend to tell people to stay indoors. And I've told you guys before about staying indoors and how it is that certain things outside can happen without you actually knowing. So then when you happen to go back outside, you're looking around and be like, oh, this is brand new. I've never seen this here before. Huh? When did they build it? Yeah, that a lot of things like that happen. Because remember, just because quote unquote everybody is inside doesn't mean that everybody is inside. You still have people out here that have to work. You still have people that do construction. You still have people that put up lines. You still have people that are building roads and so on and so on and so on. So yeah, there was a lot of new things that were put in place and built during the time that we were all meant to quote unquote stay indoors and not be outside. So I'm just telling people again to be very cautious. Do the things that you need to do. Take care of your health. Pay attention to the news. Pay attention to your local news. Pay attention to the different things that they may say. It doesn't mean freak out. It doesn't mean lose your minds, because that's normally what they want to do. They want to try to get some type of fear, directly in the air. And as I've told you guys before, fear is one of the strongest and deadliest weapons that man has ever wielded. And we've seen what that has done previously. And I'm pretty sure we're going to see what that can do again, depending on what takes place. But anyways, that's just my analysis. Let me know what you guys think in the comment description below. And as always, peace, love, and stay tuned for the next video.